while there might have been doubt concerning the fidelity of some of the men in the show, Sid is known to have been very close to a certain bus conductress. The only one we see trying to forge a relationship with someone other than his wife is Howard Sibshaw. A live production of Last of the Summer Wine was staged in 1983. Bill Owen and Peter Sallis reprised their roles as Compo and Clegg. The show focused on their interaction with Clegg's new neighbour Howard, played by Kenneth Waller, Grandad in the 1980s BBC sitcom Bread, and his wife Pearl, played by Jean Trend, who had many roles in TV dramas and sitcoms. The first act built up to the appearance of Marina, played by Jean Ferguson, who was in correspondence with Howard. Jean Ferguson returned for the second summer season in 1984, playing Marina. Robert Fife replaced Waller in the role as Howard, and Juliet Kaplan took the role of Pearl. Roy Clark included these new characters in 4 of the following 6 episodes of Series 8. All 3 characters then remained until the end of the sitcom. Pearl is a bit of a shrew and often one step ahead of husband Howard's crafty schemes. According to Howard, Pearl has a finely tuned sense of radar, as she always seems to know when he's left his chores to escape and see Marina. Juliet Kaplan was born in Bournemouth and spent her early years in South Africa, where her father was from. They moved to New York City when she was 9, returning to Bournemouth 2 years later. She took elocution lessons and attended classes at the Hampshire School of Drama in her teens. She appeared in many TV drama series, including Brookside, EastEnders and London's Burning. In 2003, she did a tour around British theatres in a one-actor show written by Roy Clark, performing as Pearl. Howard is the timid, beady-eyed, constantly conniving, henpecked husband of Pearl. He spends a lot of time outside cleaning the windows, which gives him opportunities to pester Clegg to ask for his aid in various schemes to escape Pearl and meet tarty peroxide blonde Marina. Robert Fife started in repertory theatre and radio before making his first appearance on television in the first episode of Dr. Finley's Casebook. He appeared in the films The 51st State and Around the World in 80 Days. Other credits include guest appearances on Z-Cars, The Gentle Touch, The Return of Sherlock Holmes and Monarch of the Glen. Howard lives with his wife Pearl next door but one to Clegg, much to the annoyance of Clegg. When she's first introduced on the show, Pearl is somewhat naive regarding Howard's affair with Marina. However, she's soon obsessed with exposing Howard's transgressions. Howard is a creative but unconvincing liar. Over the years, he comes up with countless disguises, cover stories and hideaways to allow him to see Marina, all of which have ultimately been doomed or exposed by Pearl. Although she has a fearsome reputation, Pearl occasionally surprises Norman Clegg and others, not including Howard, with displays of kindness, especially after Compo dies. She also shows shock when, after seeing Howard in the appropriate uniform, she thinks he's joined the French Foreign Legion, and outright fainted in a Christmas special when Compo casually remarked that Howard was in Wesley's hearse. While Howard does often slip away, we sometimes see him outside the house and thinks he's going to escape on his bicycle. As he turns to leave, the camera follows him to reveal stony-faced Pearl is blocking his way. Clegg teases Howard, probably as punishment for repeatedly involving him in his schemes to meet Marina. In the Series 26 episode, Hermione the Short Course, Clegg has been typing out the contents of his old diaries and convinces Howard that he's included him here and there, he says. I hope Pearl never finds out about page 340. By Series 29, Howard no longer knocks on Clegg's door impatiently waiting outside with a note for him to deliver to Marina. He just opens the door and walks in while Clegg ignores him. Nora, Ivy and Edie integrate Pearl into the ladies' coffee circle, and whenever men are the topic of conversation and they discuss how helpless they are, Pearl always confides she knows he is up to something, she just needs to catch him. Which she often does, finding Howard and Marina in compromising situations. Interestingly, Pearl never tackles Marina. She clearly entirely blames Howard for going astray, but never gives him more than a telling off. Except in the series 31 episode Happy Camping. Finally, she throws him out. Howard has bought camping equipment from Auntie Wainwright as a bluff to convince Pearl he's leaving her. When he returns home, Pearl throws out his packed suitcase. Howard spends the night with Hobbo and is still homeless in the next episode, The Rights of Man, except for Howard, following Hobbo's unsuccessful intervention. Hobbo then tries to reunite Howard with Pearl again in Howard and the Great Outdoors, with Howard dressed as a tramp. Pearl discovers him in a tent in this field with Marina, who just happened to be passing. It's not until the final episode that Pearl relents and lets him come home. Juliet Kaplan died of cancer on the 10th of October 2019 at her home in Westgate-on-Sea, Kent. Robert Fife died from kidney disease on the 15th of September 2021. Howard's peroxide blonde love interest, Marina, works in the local supermarket. Foggy commented that she always looks extremely unmarried somehow. Jean Ferguson was born near Wakefield and the family later settled in Bridgend, Glamorgan. While studying for her A-levels, she joined an amateur dramatics company, then trained as an actor at Cardiff Castle College of Music and Drama and graduated in 1965. After touring schools with Brian Way's Theatre Centre Company, she spent 2 years in repertory at Oldham Coliseum Theatre, followed by engagements in theatres all over the country. In 1974, Ferguson made her television debut in a few episodes of Crossroads. Ferguson's show She Knows You Know, in which she portrayed the comedienne Hilda Baker, was nominated for a Laurence Olivier Theatre Award for Best Entertainment of the 1997 season. In the 1984 stage show, Marina, the ageing blonde bombshell, was a widow. However, for the television series, Marina's status was that she'd never married. Marina lives with her never-seen mother and works as a supermarket checkout operator. Howard frequently sneaks here to arrange assignations with her. To avoid Pearl catching him, Howard often sends Clegg with a note, leading to Marina mistakenly believing that Clegg was romantically interested in her. Despite her carefree appearance, Marina knows she is subject to the disapproval of the women, especially Pearl. She is often described as a tart, and not without reason. Pearl says she is the one with eyelashes longer than her skirts and she looks like a badly spray-painted bird's nest. While it's an open secret that Howard and Marina have regular liaisons, whenever the trio come across the pair, Howard immediately tries to hide Marina. He's even pushed her over a wall or into a ditch, or insists that he's only just met this young lady, whoever she is, and he's giving her directions. Marina seems to have a soft spot for Clegg, often referring to him as Norman Clegg that was. This was a callback to the theatre show when Howard convinces Clegg to change places when pen pal Marina announces she's visiting. However, for television audiences, this is eventually explained by reference to an off-screen occasion where it's described how they were once stuck in a lift together. Howard and Marina are frequently shown in disguise, with Howard saying, "I think we've really cracked it this time." However, he tends to ignore Marina when he's out with her, partly out of fear of being seen and partly because of the charades used to cover up his affair. As a result, their relationship does not appear to have gone beyond hand-holding and gazing into each other's eyes, and the occasional kiss in a haystack, much to the disappointment of Marina. It's hinted that if Howard ever did get the chance, he'd be too cowardly to go through with it anyway. It's a wonder Marina puts up with Howard. She has to tackle all sorts of terrain in high heels and risks laddering her tights at any point. Then, despite his many gifts, china figurine, 5-foot-tall gnome, cast iron bathtub, they never get further than a furtive cuddle and the occasional kiss. Sometimes even that is made difficult by virtue of the disguises Howard organises to try and hide their identities from onlookers. A rubber frogman suit with mask and snorkel makes any intimacy problematic. They were once discovered under this bridge by the trio, in their frogman outfits. In later series, she often confides her desires for the companionship of a man with Miss Davenport, the librarian. Miss Davenport also craves male attention, although she wants a beau from a romantic novel. While never stated openly, Marina's need is more carnal. Sadly, she never gets her man, neither Howard nor anybody else. Jean Ferguson died on the 14th of November 2019 at her home in London.